All right. In about a minute or less. Charity, are you able to hear me? All right, I think let me ask someone to go first, then Charity can come in after all. Let me start with Geoffrey. What's your expectation for this morning training?
Well, I wouldn't say that I have a set expectation, but I believe that with this orientation, I will understand what Toastmasters is, more about what Toastmasters is all about, and probably I could be more engaging and try to engage more in Toastmasters, because apparently I just know a little about Toastmasters. I know that it is a space where people peer educate each other about public speaking. And I think it's a good thing, but I believe there is more to that. Thank you.
Right. Thank you for sharing with us that expectation. Emily, I do hand over to you to share with us what you expect.
Thank you so much. What can I say? Well, I'm really open. I'm open, just like the previous person had said, to learn more about Toastmasters. Then basically to set the pace on this journey where basically looking at being a better communicator, a better speaker. So I'm expectant of all that will be shared today. Yes, thank you.
Right, thank you. I'm trying to turn around my video to find a more appropriate angle. Thank you very much for sharing with us your expectation, Emily. Charity, are you able to share with us?
Yes.
Okay, please, over to you.
Me, I'm expectant to learn to understand and understand some of the words that are used on the group. Yeah, basically, I want to know exactly what is it about and how I can start. Thank you.
All right, thank you. For the guests and members that have just joined us, you're very welcome. And at this moment, we're sharing about our expectations and a few things that we wish to find at this meeting. I will hand the mic over to the president, Toastmaster Elizabeth.
Thank you very much, Timothy. I'm getting a technical glitch at my end where Zoom is unable to detect a camera. If you could assist. Yes, but please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. As a Toastmaster, I do believe that an informed Toastmaster is a better Toastmaster. So this meeting will equip us with information and knowledge that can enable us become better Toastmasters. Thanks, and over to you, Timothy.
Thank you very much. Indeed, an informed Toastmaster is a better Toastmaster. For your camera, I would suggest that you log off the meeting and try logging back on if you really wish to use it.
I'll do that. Thanks.
I will now hand the mic over to Andrew to share with us what you expect out of today's orientation.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I joined slightly late. What exactly is it you'd like me to speak about?
Perhaps for you, you could introduce yourself, a club that you belong to, and share with us one thing that you expect to get out of this meeting.
Okay, my name is Andrew Othieno. I'm an economist by profession. I belong to the Kampala Executives Toastmasters Club. What I expect from this meeting is an introduction to Toastmasters, what it is all about, what we as members can benefit from it, how we can participate as actively as possible. But most importantly, there's nothing of greater importance than to make sure that I can actually become a much better public speaker. Nothing more important than that. That's the main reason why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing with us. I do believe that our expectations are going to be met throughout the interactive discussion that we are going to have this morning. And I just want to let us know that we are going to have an interactive session where every one of us will be expected to chip in, participate here and there as we get along until the end of the discussion. And right now, I would like us to start on our agenda action points, and I will hand over the virtual lectern to Toastmaster Brenda Asiimwe to take us through the first agenda items. Over to you, Brenda.
Thank you so much, Timothy. Unfortunately, I cannot put on my video too. I'm having a bit of issues, but let me just put up my screen and we'll get started. Please confirm that you can see my screen right now and that the text is legible.
Yes, please, we can see the screen.
Okay.
Maybe you could put the PowerPoint in presentation mode.
This good?
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, the big issue we're here to discuss today is, now that you're Toastmasters, now what? And I believe this is some of the things that have come out from your expectations from this orientation. It's like, okay, you attended a meeting before and you thought this is somewhere I should belong. This is something I want to be a part of. And now you're finally part of this. Congratulations. But now that you're here, what next? How can your experience be rich and more meaningful? How can you be more engaged? And how can you participate? So that is really what we're hoping that we can cover throughout this presentation, and that hopefully at the end of this, we all have questions that we've come into the meeting with answered, and better to walk the Toastmasters journey in the best possible way that we can. Okay. I don't know why my screen is not moving. Okay, great, it has moved. So our agenda is going to look like this. We're going to talk about each one's goals. You'll notice in the chat, I've sent a PDF in the chat. Kindly check and see that you can see it. New member profile. Okay, let me just quickly run through the agenda before we come back to the new member profile. So the agenda looks like this: your goals. We're going to talk about that. The club meeting roles. These are the different people you see leading different segments of the meeting in a Toastmasters meeting. Then we're going to talk about mentoring the Toastmasters way. Then we're going to talk about some of the expectations, as much as members of Toastmasters have expectations from the organization, we also equally have expectations. And then we talk about the leadership opportunities and the Toastmasters Pathways learning experience. Because we know Toastmasters, as much as it's a public speaking organization, but then we know that communication is more than public speaking. There is the ability to write what you want to say in, say, written speeches. Then there is that ability to also be able to vocalize whatever you've written or whatever you want to communicate in the most effective way. So that is really what we strive to achieve here. But then also not just communicating, but that we're also more intentional leaders who are making an impact in the lives of the people that we lead. And we'll learn how we get to learn how to do that in Toastmasters. So before we get into anything else, I'm just going to open the PDF. Can you confirm that you can see the PDF?
Brenda,
Is it different from the screen you're sharing?
Yeah, it's different. Let me just project it, but I'm also requesting that you open the PDF on your end. But I'm also just going to open it here so we can just go through it together. So just take a few minutes.
Okay.
So just try and open that. Or you can just have, I hope you have somewhere to write so that you can write some of these things, and then you can always carry that information from wherever you've written and populate this sheet, because I'll expect you to send it to me after the meeting. Are we clear?
Not yet. I seem to have missed the PDF.
Okay, that's okay. Just look, you can see my screen. Can you see the projected PDF?
Yes,
though?
the slide.
Okay, awesome. So now what we should do is, if you have somewhere to write, just write the different answers to these prompts. And then I'm going to reshare the PDF, and then you can as well populate those answers in the PDF. And then you will share this filled in PDF with me. It's editable, so you can be able to type in and write whatever you want. So let's get to it. Your names, you just type your name. Okay, write your name on that piece of paper or on the computer where you're typing. What is the best way to contact you? Some people prefer emails, like that is the fastest way to reach them. Then there's WhatsApp, it's what we use most, but then sometimes it can get overwhelming. So maybe you'd rather a phone call or maybe a direct SMS. So please indicate that in there, the best way to contact you as you, what you find most convenient. And then you could also, the next prompt, what is your occupation? Are we done with that?
Yes.
Okay. Accomplishments and interests. So, you know, beyond public speaking and anything else, what are some of the things that you're proud of, have accomplished? What are your interests? And I think this question is more of you revealing a bit of yourself to us so that we can get to know you. And then the next question, or should I give it one more second? Someone say, let's move on when you're done writing that. Oh, awesome. I've seen Andrew. Okay, great. The next one, personal and career goals. Okay, name of mentor for most of that. Okay, if you have a mentor already that has been assigned to you or you've picked one yourself, you can write them down. If not, don't worry, we're going to assign you a mentor. So there we go. And then we go now to this question, the nitty-gritty of this whole form, communication and leadership goals. What objectives do you hope to accomplish as a member of this club? So now go back to what prompted you to make this decision to pay the subscription fee and become a member of Kampala Executives Toastmasters Club. We seek this information because it's like, if we know what your personal needs are as a person, because we all have different reasons why we're here, then we know how to better support you. Then the next question is, does your job or profession require you to speak in front of an audience? That is a yes or no answer. Next question, how would you describe your current skill level as a speaker? Try as much as possible to be honest with yourself, because I mean, no one knows you better than you know yourself. So get to that place and see, assess, where do you think you are as a speaker, a public speaker at that. And then the next question, how would you describe your current skill level as a leader? So gauge yourself as a leader. How do you show up? What are your gaps? What are your strengths? And then the next question, do you have any specific concerns relative to speaking in front of an audience? So this can be if you've had any public speaking engagements before, or any interactions that are beyond more than 2 people. What do you think you could have done differently to make your communication better or more effective? So we're not looking at these as we're looking them at these as weakness, more as weaknesses that we acknowledge and that we can work on. And then the next question is, do you have any specific concerns relative to okay, no. We finished that one. Do you have any specific concerns about leading a group? Of course, if you say yes or no, it's also important that you put why. And then the last question, why did you decide to join a Toastmasters Club? Okay, we're good. And then when you come down, there's multiple choice questions, competence skills. You'll just do an assessment. What specific skills do you want to improve? There's a drop down of so many things, so you'll just stick what is appropriate to you. I'm just gonna, I'll send this, I'm going to attach this PDF again so you can be able to see it. But then also I'll try to send it on email again so that you can be able to see that. So are we done filling in that? Or writing the prompts? I think I am showing you guys the wrong screen.
Some of us were writing in a book. We'll have to transfer to the file that you just shared.
That's okay. You can as well do that later. That you
Okay,
can transfer that later. Let me just share this. Again. Show. Okay, so now we've finished new member profile. So you're going to share this form with me after the meeting. In addition to that, I'll also share with you, we have an education tracker for the club where you can fill in the different prompts as you'll see, and you also share that with me. Isn't this slide moving?
Okay.
I'm having challenges with these slides moving by themselves. Okay. This slide also addresses some of the things we just mentioned. Is there anything specific you want us to do to help you meet your goals? Do you want to set your own timeframes? Do you want us to nudge you to participate? Most of these have been addressed in the membership profile that you just filled in. So when you come to a Toastmasters meeting, you realize that there are different people involved in leading different segments of the meeting. And this is what we call club meeting roles. And each meeting role has a unique set of responsibilities and skills for you to explore. So it's not that one role is less than or bigger than the other. It's that with each and every role that you participate in, you have something to learn. And I'll just share something someone shared with me as a new member of Toastmasters. They were like, whatever speaking opportunity you have to speak in a meeting, whether you're a grammarian, whether you're a Toastmaster or as an accountant, it's an opportunity for you to give a speech. So it's like when you're delivering in your role, in any of these roles as listed here, how do you structure your speech? So you just have to be conscious of that. And then how do we sign up for roles in meetings? It is usually through me, the Vice President of Education, but also sometimes it's done by the Toastmaster of the day. You always see kind of like a draft program that we share on our WhatsApp group, but maybe we'll as well be circulating this on email so that people who are not really into WhatsApp a lot can as well also see that. But then also, like I mentioned earlier, we have an education tracker that is always shared with every member, so that in there you indicate that the tracker has the different dates for meetings. So you're able to sign up for any of the different roles here, either as a speaker or any of these other roles, or maybe as a Toastmaster of the day, as an accountant, as an evaluator, a general evaluator. We can as well track all that in there, so that for each meeting, we always have an agenda where we know, say, Geoffrey, you're going to become a timer, or Charity, you're going to be a grammarian, or something like that. So what do these meeting roles entail? Starting with the Toastmaster of the day. So these underlined links, these are links so that when you click on it, it takes you to a website where you can read more about this. I'm going to share this presentation with everyone after here. But the Toastmaster in a meeting is what we would call in a layman's language an MC. You generally control the meeting. So you're the one who introduces the different role takers in the meeting. You're the one who introduces the speakers and everyone that participates in a Toastmasters meeting to make it how it usually is. And the explanation here is serving as a Toastmaster is an excellent way to practice planning, organization, time management, facilitation, motivation, and team building skills. Because you realize as a Toastmaster, this is a huge responsibility. We usually have our meetings running for 2 hours. So it's you to think, how exactly do I keep people engaged in this time frame? Because 2 hours is not really brief time to joke with. It's a lot of time. So it gets you thinking, how do I do transitions from one speaker to another? How do I make speaker introductions interesting? How do I manage time? How do I do different things? So you realize that a lot of thinking goes into delivering this role. And it's in preparing to become a better Toastmaster, for instance, if that's your role in the meeting, that you basically explore the different strengths that you have, and then also realize that in Toastmasters, obviously, we always, it's teamwork. We lean on each other. We ask each other about how to do some of these things. So you learn a lot of things from being a Toastmaster. The grammarian. The grammarian is usually, I would say, the English checker, in the sense that when we're speaking, usually find that, English is not really our mother tongue. Most of us have actually learned it from school. So sometimes we may not speak this English well. So the grammarian is really there to do the corrections of, say, grammatical errors. You say, for instance, you cannot say, I'm going to put water at a cup, obviously that is wrong English. So the grammarian is not there to judge people's accents or people's pronunciation of words, but really how to construct English sentences in the way they should be constructed. The grammarian also introduces the word of the day. And why we usually have the word of the day is that we want to obviously improve how we communicate. And communication is not just about saying sentences, it's about finding words that deliver messages in the best way possible. So you realize how, for instance, you can say one word to mean something, and it's just, but you find when you listen some words that create images in your head, words that are used to describe something, and you're like, wow, I wish I could also use such words. So that's what the Toastmaster of the Day uses, so that we improve our vocabulary and we better how we communicate in our day-to-day lives. And then the R counter. This role works on skills of active listening, evaluation, and providing effective feedback. Just like the title of the role sounds, the R counter, these are pause fillers. Pause fillers, or we also call them unnecessary phrases we use in our speech. And the best way I can explain this is, for instance, when you're speaking and somewhere along the way, you forget your train of thought. So somewhere in there, as you're trying to recollect your train of thought, you're saying sounds like, as I was saying, because you've remembered what you wanted to say that you had forgotten. But here at Toastmasters, we learn to embrace pauses, to, instead of fighting to fill the silence, that you can actually keep quiet and then come back and continue your train of thought. Or find more creative ways of filling the silence, as opposed to try and using these unnecessary phrases that don't necessarily add anything to the speech. And these sound like, so, but then I know these phrases that we usually use, and that they really don't add anything to our speech. We just are using them to fill silence or dead spaces in our conversations. And then the timer. The timer role builds skills of organization, time management, active listening, and leadership. Toastmasters we pride ourselves in timekeeping. That is why you find that our meetings run as clockwork. Because a meeting is supposed to start at 6:30, it starts at 6:30. So the timer's role is really to ensure that everything, every role, every speech is delivered within the given time of the meeting, and that at the end of the meeting, they give a report, so that, say, for instance, if you overshoot your time as a speaker, then you will know that, hey, next time I need to prepare better so that I'm able to speak in the time allotted to me. And then the topics master. The topics master is also what we call the table topics master. There is this segment in the meeting where we have what we call impromptu speaking, or what we'd also call unprepared speeches. Because you realize in a normal meeting, there's usually people who deliver prepared speeches that are evaluated. Then we have this segment where we get to practice speaking off the cuff, where you're picked upon and given a topic, and then you're supposed to speak about it in less than 2 minutes, but then you're supposed to speak about it in a normal way that you should deliver speech, with a proper beginning, middle, and end. So this also helps us to learn how to always be prepared. And there's these situations that we experience. It could be at events or maybe at staff meetings where you're just in your own things, maybe you're even scribbling things on your phone, and someone is like, hey, Brenda, say something. So practicing this role, either that as participating as a table topic speaker, really gets us to that point where we're comfortable to speak whenever we're called upon. And then there is the speaker. These are the people who give prepared speeches, and the person who's going to take us through the pathways experience. You'll learn how you can come up with your first speech, where you get the resources to help you prepare for the first speech. And you realize that Toastmasters really is detailed in the guidance they provide us in how you develop your first speech. Then these are the speech expectations. This is what I need to work on, the different elements that are incorporated in a speech to make it that effective. So the speakers are the ones who usually give speeches, say 5 to 6 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes. And this project is usually worked on, especially the first speech, with the help of your mentor. And then the next role is the evaluator. This immediately follows the speech, because you realize one of the best ways and the uniqueness about Toastmasters is that when we speak, we get feedback about our speech. And because we get feedback, that is how we're able to improve in our speech. Because if you speak and you're told that, hey, people couldn't hear you, or maybe you looked like a statue, your hands were clasped in front of you, or you were speaking so fast we couldn't follow your thoughts, or maybe your ideas were jumbled up. So once you take in that feedback, then you'll know next time that, hey, this is how I need to organize my thoughts. Maybe I need to slow down in how I speak. Because, at the end of the day, if people are not getting your message, then you're not effectively communicating. And that is what feedback, that is the role that feedback plays in our development. So you realize that as an evaluator, you're practicing skills of active listening, critical thinking, because you're listening keenly to what this person is saying, from their words, from the voice, the voice intonation, from how they use the stage. Your observation skills, like all your senses actually come into play as an evaluator, because you're trying to give this person the best feedback possible for them to improve. Then the general evaluator. This person provides feedback or a review of an entire meeting, from how it's run from the beginning to the end. This is also a bit of a hefty role, because you also realize that it requires a lot of paying attention, observation skills, because you're reporting on each and every segment of the meeting. So you realize how each of these different roles that we partake in meetings essentially build us to become better communicators and leaders. Before we get into mentoring, does anyone have any questions about any of what I just mentioned? How is the temperature in the room?
Well,
Hello.
from my end, I'm enjoying. Thank you, Brenda. No question as of now.
Okay. How is everything, Geoffrey, Emily, Charity, Andrew? You okay?
Yes, I'm okay.
Everything is okay. I'm following.
So far, so good for me also. Yeah, all is well.
Perfect. So just to summarize what I just said is that Toastmasters is not really about giving speeches only, it is about serving. And serving, we're serving by and supporting each other grow by signing up to be speech evaluators, by signing up to be grammarians in meetings, by signing up to be accountants, by signing up to be Toastmasters. That all these roles need to be done. And once you're doing all these roles, then it makes you a no-round Toastmaster. So you just cannot be part of meetings and all you want to do is give speeches. You have to do everything, and that is how we learn. Okay, and now moving on to
Just a quick one, Brenda, sorry to interrupt. There is a meeting I attended and I saw a role of a lexicologist.
Wow.
Yes. Do you by any chance have information about it? It was related to the roles were like those of a grammarian. And I remember Timothy also attended. If he or you can shed some light, it would be very helpful.
Timothy, do you mind if you know more about that role, or Harriet?
Thank you, Brenda. I can share what I've experienced.
Okay.
I've seen it more in European Toastmaster clubs that have two, they break the grammarian's role into two. They have a grammarian and then they have a lexicologist. And what the lexicologist does is they introduce the word of the day. And it's like another introduction part where someone has a PowerPoint about a word, and they're like, okay, can someone help us to pronounce this word? Can someone tell us what it means? Can someone tell us how it can be used, and all that, to create that engagement between the audience and the word of the day. And then the grammarian does the rest of the grammarians of listening to the good use of the English language, taking note of the counts the word of the day has been used, and it's the grammarian that delivers the report. So what the lexicologist does is only to introduce the word of the day and make sure that it's clear to the audience from my experience.
Wow, well, that is interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that, Timothy. So yeah, that is right. You
Thank you
find
so
that
much.
clubs may decide to kind of tailor some of these things that I just shared specifically to how they want to do them, as long as they are serving members to grow in the different aspects that they want to grow in. So as you can see, that is a role that is split into two. You also find that there are some meetings where you may find a jokes master. So just like the role that the title sounds, the person is supposed to share jokes in a meeting. And then there's also a role that I did mention that is also equally important that we often have in the meetings, the role of a hack master. The hack master, it also involves a lot of active listening, because you're listening to everything as people speak in a meeting. And then at the end of the meeting, when you're called upon, you're supposed to quiz people about different things. Say, for instance, I've said a lot of things at the beginning of this meeting. So as a hack master, you'll find maybe things that will interest you, or maybe things that you think you would want to question people about. And then you test people's listening skills, because you're going to pose questions and they are going to answer them. So it also helps us build our active listening abilities. So that is also another role there. And maybe the other thing I should mention before I move on to this slide of mentoring and mentorship, one thing that we need to know as Toastmasters is, this is a group. Toastmasters has a structure of how things are done, but then we're individuals. We have things that make us unique. We speak differently. We express ourselves differently. So in our learning to become better public speakers, you're really only trying to refine yourself and how you are as Elizabeth, as Charity, as any of us in this room. So it's like every time you have an opportunity to perform these roles, you're thinking, how do I shine through as Brenda? As much as Toastmasters offers me this template of this is how I'm supposed to do this role, but then you're thinking, how do I be creative with it? How do I have fun doing this thing? So it's not that things are supposed to be rigid. Yes, there's always a template, and the template is supposed to keep us in check, but then that in there, you're allowed to modify how you perform these roles in order to express yourself the best way that you can. I just want you all to remember that. And now, mentoring in Toastmasters. So you realize that when we come into here, you'll sit in a meeting and you listen to people speak, and you'll be like, it's easy to be like, but can I be like that person? Or am I ever going to, overcome my fear of public speaking? Or depending on what your challenge is as you're coming into this. For me, when I came into Toastmasters, my challenge was, I didn't feel like I could articulate, I didn't feel like when I would be expressing my thoughts that they would have a chronological order. I would always feel like my thoughts come out and they are jumbled up. So it was like coming in here and I'm like, how do I learn to organize my thoughts so that when I speak, I know I am coming from point A and going to Z, not kind of being all over the place? Because if I am speaking and I'm feeling confused myself, then how is the person receiving what I'm trying to tell them? So yeah, what happens is Toastmasters helps us find a structure of, organizing our thoughts. And that is why preparation is emphasized in delivering the different roles and speeches that we do. So mentors are people supposed to work with us on this journey. And these are people who have been Toastmasters in Toastmasters longer than we have. And here, maybe if someone can tell me their experience with mentorship, like as a mentor, how has a mentor supported them? It could be in work or other aspects of life. Can anyone share any experiences with being mentored? Anybody? Okay.
Yes, I can share.
Go ahead.
Personally, for me, the mentor I once had, she was so authentic, like she could speak real life, giving me her real life experiences, and I could be encouraged. I could be like, oh, even this has ever happened to her. She has been through it, and she successfully got out of it. Even me, I can. So that is it for me.
Thank you so much for sharing, Charity. But yeah, that is what a mentor does. A mentor serves as a role model, as a confidant, as a coach. And I would just advise when you start this mentorship relationship, you're going to have a mentor, or you already have a mentor, that you have a meeting with them where you share with them where your status of things right now and how they can best support you, because you can only get the support you need when you actually communicate your needs. So this is something that you have to actively cultivate. A mentor offers insight, perspective, and wisdom, takes personal interest, and helps. So that is also one thing that we pride in as Toastmasters, to serve. Because we were supported, we're also supposed to support others. So that is something that we do, and we always encourage everyone to make good use of their mentor. So when you join a Toastmasters Club, you're assigned a mentor, but then as you get comfortable and get to meet more people, you can as well take on as many mentors as possible, depending on what you seek to learn. Next, my slide is frozen. Okay. So in all this, what is in this for the mentor? Because, you know, a mentorship is more or less like a mutual relationship. The mentor learns from the mentee as well. It's an act of service. Then you also remain productive as you support others to grow in their journey. So it's not this relationship where you're the one just giving. It depends on where you look at it from, but you also get to learn from as you support another Toastmaster grow. And then as a mentee, how should you behave in this relationship? Of course, you should be eager to learn, you should be receptive, open to new ideas, and flexible. And then one thing that I should emphasize is that as a mentee, you need to actively cultivate this relationship, to seek for mentorship, because a mentor cannot want this for you more than you want it yourself. So a mentor, as your mentor, I'll be willing to create time to engage you, but then you should also actively seek me out. Yes, I'll check in on you every once in a while, like, Charity, hey, what's up? Are you going to participate in this meeting? Or there's this meeting coming up, can you deliver a speech? Or I will nudge you, but then also it becomes much easier if you're nudging someone who is equally interested in, you know, the things that you're sharing with them. And how can a mentor support you? They provide feedback for your speeches. So for those ones who haven't delivered any speeches yet, that when you write your first draft of a speech, you share it with your mentor and they give you feedback on it. They make you aware of the resources available. There's tons and tons of resources available on the Toastmasters website. It's like a pool of information. We all have to just make use of it. And then provide feedback about roles taken. So your mentor, even if you're going to deliver your role as a timer or as an accountant, you can always reach out to them and you're like, how do I do this? What do you think I should do? While there are templates to do this, but then there's always, sometimes someone will give you a pep talk and that's all you need to be more confident in how you deliver something. And then they'll also share their lived experiences, like Charity shared earlier. It's always good to hear from other people who have walked the journeys we want to walk. So someone tells you that, hey, I've been here and this is where I am now. So you're able to appreciate that, hey, if she can do it or she did it, I can equally do it. So does anyone have any questions about mentorship? Okay.
Yes,
So,
Brenda, thank you very much for the session. Are there any do's? No, I've heard about the do's. Are there any don'ts in mentorship?
Well, the don'ts are, it's really human interaction etiquette, I would say. Like, so someone is your mentor, obviously you shouldn't abuse the fact that they are available to you, like, you know, maybe wanting to get into personal business and those kinds of things. Like, even you as a person, you have to be able to be like, maybe how much can I probe? Or if someone doesn't want to share something, that you're not like probing them to share it, that you're being respectful in how you engage with them, like respectful of their time, respectful of their thoughts. And this is not to say that whatever the mentor advises you or suggests is you should take it as a Bible. It's that you also have the ability to judge whatever they are sharing with you and either decide to take it or not take it. So it's like, as much as someone is supporting you and sharing their experiences, after all, they are their lived experiences. It doesn't mean that my experiences are going to be experiences, Elizabeth. I can only share them as I know them. So you cannot be like, this is wrong, or you're lying to me. I mean, how I am telling you my experience. So you realize that, say, for instance, if someone is sharing the experience and you're saying you're lying, then obviously you're questioning their integrity and that may rub them the wrong way. So I would say that is really what I can say about, you know, like how to navigate that relationship, that you do it, that you use it, but then you're being respectful of each other. I don't know, Timothy, do you have any other thoughts about that?
Thank you.
Sorry, I was speaking on mute. Brenda, I really think that you have responded to that very well. In as much as a mentor helps you to find out what lies ahead of your Toastmasters journey, there's this one thing that I keep saying. In Toastmasters mentorship, we are not motivational speakers who tell people, I know today you can go out there and speak like Barack Obama tomorrow. It's a process, and even as mentors, we encourage people to appreciate the process, that it's one step at a time. And a mentor will not ask you to do something that they have not experienced, because ideally you cannot lead people to a place that you have not been. So in most cases, a mentor will help you to get where they have been. And in that process, you could become better than them based on your different skills and gifts. But they will only help you to get where they have been, in my opinion. How about you, Brenda? I know we have Harriet Ocitti, who is a coach, and I believe she might be more experienced in that. She could also share some light on that.
Hey, Harriet. Okay.
Hello, Brenda. I'm sorry, I was on mute. Yes, Brenda. Good morning, everybody on the call.
Good morning, Harriet.
I've been struggling with getting onto here, but I'm finally here. Brenda, you've done an excellent job, And I would say, if talking about the don'ts about mentorship, again, mentors, especially in the Toastmasters environment, is really somebody who works with you. Remember that the Pathways program is self-instructional, self-motivational. You go as fast as you'd like to go. So as a mentor in this particular space, I am really there to hold your hand and move at your pace. So I think that the basic don't would be to the mentor, as Brenda has said, that the Brenda cannot push you further than you want to go. And so that's the kind of relationship that you have as a mentor-mentee. Back to you, Brenda.
Thank you so much, Harriet. I've already taken a lot of time. Let me just wrap this up. Now, then the other thing, so this is just about club expectations and policy, because I said as members, you have expectations, but as a club, we also have expectations. Okay, as Toastmasters, we have expectations. So it's that you've signed up on this journey of personal growth and development, and you saw something that motivated you to come and join that. So it's upon you to walk this journey. Like Harriet just mentioned, you move at a speed that you want to move. If you're fast enough, you're going to run through the paths, in a matter of months. But if you come here in Toastmasters and then you sit back, then you obviously will not grow. So here we say at least attend a meeting, because we usually have 2 meetings a month, that you attend at least a meeting, but then you can attend more. There's several Toastmasters clubs in this town, and nowadays, the fact that we have the ability to attend meetings in the comfort of our homes, you can literally be in a Toastmasters meeting every other day. You can give a speech every other day if you actually want to move at that speed, and that will be absolutely okay. And this is also how you can use your mentor, where you can be like, so we don't have any meetings coming up at my club, but where can I find other speaking opportunities? And as your mentor, because I've been here longer, I'll probably maybe be knowing, say at Miyenga with the Timothys, they have a meeting, maybe get for your speaking slot there, so that you're actively pursuing this. And we only learn by doing. Then our dress code in meetings should always be professional as possible. And then taboo topics. By taboo topics, we talk about things that make people uncomfortable. So we're coming into this space. It's supposed to be a safe space for us to learn. And we all have different opinions about things, religion, politics, sex. But these are things that often rub people the wrong way, depending on where they are coming from or which side of the bed they woke up on. So we usually advise that you desist from speaking about things that could potentially make people's experiences unpleasant. So how do we communicate with you? Lastly, during club meetings, we usually have announcements. We send some communications via email, WhatsApp, the club. So there are so many resources on the website, the newsletter, Toastmasters newsletter. Now that you become members and you get an ID and you log in, you'll find that every other month you'll be receiving all sorts of reading materials from Toastmasters. So please make use of those ones. And then since you already filled in the membership profile form, then we'll also know how to reach you individually should we need anything from you. Otherwise, Toastmasters is a beautiful space to be. It is a beautiful space to thrive. I would say own it and make it the best that it can be for you. And with that, I'll hand over to Timothy to take us briefly through the leadership opportunities in Toastmasters. Over to you, Timothy.
Well, thank you so much, Brenda, for really taking us on that ride. I want us to appreciate Brenda by giving her a round of applause. We can do it virtually or unmute our mics and appreciate the knowledge that she has shared with us. A couple of weeks ago, thank you. A couple of weeks ago, I find myself in a situation where I wanted to cajole one of my employers to appreciate Toastmasters as one of the things that they could leverage on to help us as the employees improve on our leadership skills. And in that conversation, they asked me a question. Okay, we've seen the communication, we've seen the other bits about the club leadership. And the question was, how does this translate into the leadership or personal leadership growth and the other leadership aspects? The truth is, up to this point, I have not succeeded. And I just want to pose that question to us. In Toastmasters, where do you think someone develops their leadership muscles? Is it in speaking? Is it in taking on a club leadership role? This is not to judge our knowledge, it's just us to share our experience with Toastmasters. And I'm welcoming everyone to share with us. Anyone?
Yes, this is Geoffrey.
Yes, Geoffrey.
Thank you, Timothy. I think in many spaces and many clubs, just like Toastmasters, leadership skills are developed. And as Toastmasters, well, in speaking or delivering a speech may not directly improve one's leadership skills, but as a role taker in the club, the leadership skill is greatly improved. Take, for instance, the Toastmaster of the day. He controls, he or she makes sure that the team is in place. It develops his time keeping skills, and many other roles will also improve the leadership skills. And the more times you take on those roles, I think you become a better leader. And notwithstanding, of course, when you take up leadership positions in the club and beyond, then the leadership skills are enhanced further. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Geoffrey, for that. Indeed, when you put all these small pieces together, at the end of that day, you develop your leadership muscles. I don't know, I'm seeing Elizabeth has typed on the chat that continued practice of speaking, role taking can enhance one's skills. As we shall see later on, the different in the pathways training, the different parts that we have different projects, and indeed in those projects we are challenged to go and make research, demonstrate what we have researched about the leadership styles, and find out about how our dominant leadership styles affect other people. And that's under level 2. We shall get to learn about that. There is growth in speaking, writing those speeches, delivering those speeches, but there is also growth. There is immense growth in taking up a leadership role at a club level, because Toastmasters is a non-profit. And in cases like that, you find yourself leading in a situation where you have no authority. The people that you're leading with do not have motivation that is in terms of monetary reward that encourages them to take on these roles. And what we find in those cases that when you successfully lead a team that is only motivated by your vision and your leadership skills and your communication skills, you find yourself that when you carry all these skills into the different leadership roles that have different incentives, you'll find yourself succeeding based on the experience that you have crafted in Toastmasters. There are different leadership muscles that are stretched at every leadership role that a club has. A normal Toastmasters club, even if it wasn't normal, okay, all Toastmasters clubs are normal, we have 7 officer roles. And they are ranked in a way, sorry, previous slide. Right, yeah. They are ranked in a way starting with the highest ranked, we shall see that on the next slide, and then goes back to the least ranked club officer role. But again, all these roles, they help us to nurture and learn various leadership facets, as we shall see. And the Toastmasters leadership chain is arranged as you see, with the member at the core. Toastmasters International values the members, and it puts the members at such a prestigious place, because without members, we can't have clubs. Without clubs, we cannot have areas. Without areas, we can't have divisions, districts, regions, and then you realize that Toastmasters can't exist without members. So members are very important, and that's why Toastmasters empowers and trains different leaders, club officers to avail quality in terms of success that is availed to the members, so that when the members achieve their goals, and then the cycle goes on and on from the clubs, areas, divisions, districts, and Toastmasters International achieves the set vision. So that's the order. We have members, 20 members make our club. When it's going to be a new charter club, it requires 20 members. But for a club to remain in good standing, after some period of time, you need to have a minimum of 8 members. And then 4 clubs, 4 or more clubs make up an area. And then again, 4 or more areas can make up a division. In divisions, we have at least 8 areas that make up 8 divisions that make up a district. And then the cycle goes on and on. So in this, I want us to know that Toastmasters International values us as members. And the primary objective is for us to receive growth and in terms of excellency when the club is delivering excellency to us. I do recognize that Kampala Executives Club has 2 vacant roles, and I just want to encourage or inspire members that don't have a role at the ExCom to take it, run for it. There are times where we feel like we are less skilled, less qualified for these roles, but again, Toastmasters is one where you get to learn on job, and you're going to get people around you to mentor, to support you, and get very good feedback that helps us to master the different roles. Next slide, please. At the club, we can serve under those roles. The highest ranked role is the club president, and what the club president does, they oversee the performance of all the other 6 club officers. They chair the club meetings, make sure that the agenda is in place, everything is in place, members have renewed, and meetings are happening at the club. Then we have the vice president in charge of education at this club, who happens to be Brenda, and the purpose of the VP is to make sure that every member that signs up at the club is achieving their educational goals. Educational goals are linked to the different projects, as we shall see under the pathways training, and that requires the VPE to constantly follow up on members and make sure that they're delivering speeches and checking off the projects. Third ranked club officer is the vice president in charge of membership. And what this does is to ensure that at any given moment of our club lifespan, we have at least 20 members. So their role is to inspire members around the community, around the club, to join the club and build the membership. The 4th ranked officer is the vice president in charge of public relations. This helps to serve as a conduit between the club and the virtual community, or the community at large. by making sure that information about the club is shared across and members around the club can have access to that information. They can know about the club and build visibility of that club in the community. We have the secretary who takes minutes at the club meetings and make sure that the club meeting agendas are in place and always available at every given meeting. We have a treasurer who is in charge of our monies and make sure that the renewals are submitted on time. And lastly, we have a sergeant at arms who makes sure that at every meeting, the meeting room is prepared in time and it is well prepared and organized. In terms where we have physical meetings, this individual is expected to be at the venue before the meeting time and make sure that the room is organized and it is in an accessible area. So when you serve under one of these roles, you'll find yourself, number one, learning more about the leadership skills in terms of administration, again, which also comes along with quality communication, because communication skills at Toastmasters Club are like the glue that keeps the team together. If you can't communicate well with the team, you find that some of the members will not be performing at their best. So good, effective communication skills, they help us to get the best out of our team, motivate them, appreciate them when they have done their best. And what do you gain when you serve at the area? There's a number of positions at the area level. We have the area director, associate area director in charge of club quality, and the other in charge of we have program quality, and forgetting the other one. All right, I will mention that as we go on. Yes, program quality and membership. So what happens now when you are planning to be a distinguished Toastmaster? You will need to have service, or you need to have served at the area level, and that will be shared in the next presentation. And at the region, those are the roles that you can serve as. You can serve as a district director, program quality director, club growth director, finance manager, administration manager, region advisor, and international director. So those are the leadership positions that one can take on. From the club level, you learn more about managing small teams, motivating teams, and at the area level, it's more of supervision. You learn how to supervise virtual teams, motivating teams, slightly bigger than at the club. But again, the skills that you learn from the club, you employ back into the area, and the chain goes on and on. So that brings me to the end of this leadership development cycle, unless there is someone that has a question. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to hand this to our next facilitator, who is Harriet Ocitti. Harriet Ocitti is a past president at Kampala Toastmasters Club. She has a wide span of Toastmasters as far as knowledge, a wide span of knowledge as far as Toastmasters is concerned. And we are privileged to have you share with us some of that knowledge. Over to you, Harriet.
Someone is requesting for a minute, a break of a minute. I think we can do that as Harriet is setting up her presentation on the screen.
All right. I've
Thank
missed
you.
that.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me? I am. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Let me just give me a minute. I'm trying to set up as our minute winds down. Let me see if I can do. I have a slight problem here. Okay. No, that's not it. So how is everybody?
Doing fantastic.
Fine, Harriet. How are you?
I am well.
That's good.
I was telling Timothy this morning that my laptop crashed. So I'm trying to use a gadget that I haven't used before, but let me see how I can get this going. Just give me a minute.
Okay, please.
See if I can get this going. Okay, and I need to share my screen. I need to share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, let me just see, because I'm supposed to have. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. How many of us are on pathways? Let me just ask a few questions before we start. Have we all begun the pathways experience?
Yes, me.
Me is who?
Me, I haven't.
That was a good one. I liked the me. Okay, now how do I do this? How do I share my screen from here? Not Google Drive, document. Okay, I'm going to ask Timothy.
Yes, please.
Could you
Should I
share the PowerPoint from your end? I think that would be better. Otherwise, this is going to take long. I just don't seem to be able to do it from this gadget. I don't know why.
Okay, please. Sorry about that.
It's just not working.
Yep, to see the PowerPoint now.
Okay. Yes, I can see the PowerPoint. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Harriet Ocitti. And as I've been introduced by T, presently, I am just trying to make sure that you can see my video. I always like people to be able to see my face as I deliver the presentation. I hope you're able to see me.
Yes.
You can see my beautiful smile. At least I'm smiling.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, so as Timothy has said, I have been part of Toastmasters. I think this will be my 4th year. And when I joined Toastmasters, just to give you a background, when I joined Toastmasters, I was really looking to improve my public speaking skills. I am a public speaker. I'm a trainer, facilitator, coach, mentor, and I do a lot of speaking. But as John Maxwell says in his book, once a leader stops growing, then they are dying. And I felt I had got to a point where wherever I went, I seemed to be the excellent one. And so I thought I wasn't growing anymore. So I needed a space where I could grow, a space outside of my comfort zone. And when I came to Toastmasters, it was great to realize that there were a lot of things I could learn, but there were also a lot of areas that I could improve as a public speaker. And so as I went through the different things that you've gone through today, I realized that there was a curriculum called Pathways. And for me, being the kind of person that I am, I'm a very structured person. I love to have milestones that I need to cover. I need to have goals that I need to achieve. It was great. It was great when the Pathways was a curriculum that I could follow. And as I went through, I realized, as has been said by Brenda, it was really up to me to work the system, to work the curriculum. Let's have the next slide, Timothy. I hope I remember which slides come next. Let's have the next slide. And this is a great quote. No, the slide before that. The slide before that. This is a great quote. It doesn't matter how many resources you have, if you don't know how to use them, it will never be enough. And this is by somebody who is unknown. But I'd like to add to this, it doesn't matter how many resources you have, if you don't work them, they will not work for you. And so I'd like to encourage you that Pathways is a curriculum that works. You'll find that there are so many skill sets in there that will help you to become the best public speaker that you desire to become. Let me also say that the speed at which you go is really up to you. And I tell a lot of people that 250,000 or more that you pay in 6 months runs out so fast. Before you know it, the 6 months is over. And then it's very sad that I know a number of people who have paid in that money and yet they haven't been able to work the curriculum. Now I say this with all humility. I was one of the first, or I was the first Toastmaster to finish the curriculum, the Pathways curriculum, from level 1 to level 5 in 1 year. In 1 year, and I wanted to show you a picture of that, but my system is not working. So it is possible. It is possible for you to work this curriculum in 1 year and beat all the different goals that you need to make and actually develop yourself to become a speaker that is actually sought after. Right now, I am sought after in different arenas to be able to speak, to be an MC, to organize meetings, to get people together who haven't been working together. And so there's a lot that you can do with this curriculum. So that's about me, but let's go through the curriculum. So let's take us to the next slide. Let's jump that slide, let's move on. I also realized that this particular training was supposed to end at 11. I'm also a stickler for time, and I will be running for another meeting. So I'm going to ask you to give me 10 minutes. This should have actually taken about 30 to 25 to 30 minutes, but I'm going to try and make sure that I squeeze it into as short a time as possible. This particular power presentation will be given to you, so you'll be able to go through it yourself. Okay, so core competencies of the Toastmasters learning. Public speaking and interpersonal communication. That's what we are about. Become a great public speaker, but also learn to communicate with people that you're working with. A lot of us are working in organizations. Are we able to communicate well with the people that we are actually going around, we're actually working with? And then strategic leadership. Strategic leadership is about being able to see the future, being able to cast a vision, have a strategy to get to that particular goal that the organization or that the team you're working with is aspiring to reach. Then leading and managing. And as Brenda has said, and Timothy, when you take up roles in Toastmasters meetings, when you get yourself into the contest, you learn how to lead and manage people outside of your space, outside of your comfort zone. And this can happen at any time on your leadership journey. Okay, let's move on. Building confidence, Are you confident when you stand up and speak? A lot of people have said that their greatest fear is public speaking. And therefore, people go stand up there and they're shaking in their boots. But how can you be confident? And we do that by teaching you how to write out your speech. You have a mentor that you go through, you practice it, and very soon public speaking becomes as easy as, like my mother would say, eating matoke. Okay, now there are different paths for learning. Again, Toastmasters has realized that each one of us have different aspirations, different areas that we want to improve in our lives. So it's not one size fits all. There are those of you who want to come up with motivational strategies. There's presentation mastery, leadership development, innovative planning, visionary communication, strategic relationships, dynamic leadership, persuasive influence, effective coaching, and team collaboration. So you have 10 paths. I think actually there should be 11. There was one more path I think that was added. I can't remember which one it is. But there are 11 paths that you can choose to follow through. And the wonderful thing is you can actually go through all of them. I have made it my goal that for the time that I'm in pathways, I'll go through every single path. So I began at leadership development. In 1 year, I was able to finish all the paths, and I'm now leadership proficient. I got a certificate for that. And the next one that I'm now doing, which I'm on right now, and again, I'm going to finish before this particular session is over, is effective coaching. Now, for each of these particular paths, there are particular skills that you are going to have to go through. The first one is public speaking. The second one is interpersonal communication. The third is strategic leadership, management, and confidence. So whatever path you take, you will actually be adding to yourself these competencies as you go along. They may look different, they may come in a different form, but you'll definitely be able to go through these skill sets. Next path. Next slide. Let's have our next slide. Great. So these are the pathways levels. For every single path, there are 5 levels. The first level is that you're mastering the fundamentals of public speaking and leadership. The second level is you're learning your style. We have different styles, leadership styles, learning styles, and so on and so on. So the third one is increasing your knowledge about that particular path you've taken. Level 4 is building the skills. And then level 5 is demonstrating expertise, taking you a notch higher from where you are and demonstrating that you actually have learned the skills at level 4 that you went through. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, let's look at level 1, mastering fundamentals. There'll be 3 projects and all paths go through these 3 projects. You have your icebreaker. The icebreaker is where you let us know more about yourself. You deliver a speech which is properly structured. Again, you go through with your mentor and let us know a little bit about yourself. Who is Harriet? What is there about Harriet that I would like the rest of my members to know? Then the next project is evaluation and feedback. And within that project, there are 2 speech deliveries and then research and presenting. As Brenda mentioned, at Toastmasters, we evaluate our speaking and we give you positive feedback to help you become a better speaker. And then research and presenting. Every leader should be able to do some sort of research in a particular area and then be able to present it. So level 1 for all the paths will go through the mastering of fundamentals. Let's go to our next slide. Then level 2 is learning your style, okay? And here you're also introduced to Toastmasters mentoring. You need to complete 3 of the projects below based on the path you selected. And these are the different speech delivery or speech titles or speech themes that you can be able to pick up. But you just select 3 out of these projects below. Understanding your leadership style, understanding your project style, connecting with your audience, managing time, active listening, effective body language, and cross-cultural understanding. So you need to complete 3 of the projects below based on the path that you selected. Level 3, our next slide. So after you've learned your leadership style, after you've learned the basics of how a speech is structured, you need to increase your knowledge. And again, you're given options, but out of those options, you need to choose at least 2 electives plus 1 project from the path that you have selected. And those are the electives that are presented to you at this level: negotiating the best outcome, presenting a proposal, planning and implementing, understanding emotional intelligence, understanding conflict resolution, persuasive speaking, make connections through networking, successful collaboration, and develop a communication plan. Let me say at this point that even if you choose 2 electives, nothing stops you from actually going through each one of them. What I have done to make sure that I actually take up the 2 electives that I'm obligated to take, afterwards in my own time, I still go through the other electives and are able to actually improve my skills in those areas. Let's go back to the former slide. I just want to give an example. Let's go back to level 3. For example, when I was doing my leadership development path, I decided to pick on understanding emotional intelligence and understanding conflict resolution to deliver my 2 speeches. But I have gone through presenting a proposal because I am a facilitator, and I've done that outside of the Toastmasters meeting. I've also done planning and implementing, and I've also done developed a communication plan. So even if the 2 are the ones I've delivered as my speeches, plus the project, I've actually picked up others in level 3 because I know I really want to improve those particular skills. Let's go to level 4. Again, here you're now building skills and you're asked to complete at least 1 elective plus 1 of the projects below based on the path selected. So there will be a project that you have to pick up and then 1 elective. And again, you choose which ones you feel you'd like topmost on your priority list. But again, like I said, it doesn't stop you from going through the other electives to develop your own skills in that particular area if you feel that it will definitely help you in your public speaking or leadership journey. Let's go to level 5. Now here you're showing that you have actually learned right from level 1 up to level 4, and you're demonstrating your expertise at in a particular theme that you choose. You'll be asked to reflect on your path. Look back, deliver a speech. What has your path done for you? What have you experienced? And on top of that, you'll be asked to complete 1 project based on the topics at the bottom that are given. And again, you choose 1 project, but you're not hindered from being able to go through any other project below at your own time. Next slide. Let's look at the benefits of pathways. Pathways is tailored for every single person who chooses to work it, and it is self-paced learning. It is you that chooses how fast or how slow you can go. Pathways customizes your member experience to your own needs. Like I said, you choose which path you'd like to take. The flexibility to choose the experience. It is up to you to decide how many speeches you want to take, where you want to deliver the speeches, how you want to deliver them. And that gives you access to a lot of material, because there's a lot of material that can help you to be very flexible. And a lot of the resources are expanded. A lot of these resources you find that would even send you to a link that will help you to get even more knowledge about the particular area that you're looking for. Pathways is a great way to also know exactly how you're growing, because you know where you started. In fact, when you go into Pathways, at the beginning of every single level or every single project, they'll be asking you particular questions. At the end of the project, when you've delivered your speech, you will assess yourself and find out if you feel you're growing, if there are things that you've learned. Next slide. Okay, real world applicability, yes, and give and receive effective and meaningful evaluations. So a lot of what we are involved in when we deliver our speeches is about us being able to apply what we are speaking about. What I love about Pathways is that they're not asking you to give a particular topic. You choose the topic, and a lot of times I talk when they're delivering their speeches, they choose a topic that is relevant to the time, something that you can apply yourself, or something that you feel others in the club would definitely benefit from. The resources at the Toastmasters websites are enormously great for those who are looking to grow. And they're so varied and numerous. Tutorials and resources. It's amazing how much is there. And I would like to encourage you to be adventurous and go onto the website. Now that you are registered and you have paid up your membership, within this 6 month period, just put yourself in a position of being a student. Just tell yourself, I'm a student on this curriculum. What I have done is to put away Saturdays for the time when I really focus on studying the Toastmasters material, so that I can even be able to pass it on to others. But there's so much in there that you can use to help you on your Pathways journey. Okay, do you have another slide after this? Now, it would have really been great to be able to actually go through the different steps on how you get onto Pathways. But I'd like to encourage you that now that you're registered, go onto the website, click on the Pathways. Once you log in, click on the Pathways button. It will bring you down to going to Basecamp. And then from there, you will select your path. Select your path. It will take you through a number of questions to help you select that path. It will give you 2 options, and then you choose one. Once you've done that, you'll be able to come back to the portal and then go to My Education Transcript. You can see that button down there. Once you go into there, just follow the prompts. I usually like, when I'm doing a Pathways orientation, to actually go through the different stages. When I've opened my own Pathways, my own Pathways, but it won't be possible today because of time. But the great thing that you have an excellent Vice President of Education, Brenda, who will take you through anything where you have a challenge. But the great thing about this particular website is that the prompts are very customer friendly or very interactive. So you shouldn't find it difficult. Yeah, I wish we were doing this practically. Yes, you will. I'm sure you will. You will not find it difficult to actually log on and start your path. Okay. Where will Pathways take you? It will help you to continue your journey of personal and professional development. This particular educational program has been marked out, has been crafted to help you on that journey. And once you begin your journey with Pathways, it's amazing how much you'll be able to learn. And like I said, with your Vice President Education, I'm sure you will go through a step-by-step on how you can be able to log on to Pathways and go through your Basecamp. Great. I know there are questions, and I know the question at the top of the list is, when can we go through this practically? I'll leave that the answer to that question to Brenda. But at this point, I'd like to hand over to, is it to Timothy? If there are any questions, I'm still here, but I'd like to hand over to Timothy to handle the Q&A session. Back to you, Timothy.
Thank you very much, Harriet. I just want to request us to appreciate Harriet with a round of applause.
Thank you.
This kind of applause is very definite. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking us through that training. Is there anyone that has a question?
Yeah, Timothy, there's a question in the chat for Harriet, and it says, congrats on the certificates and competencies, Harriet. Just curious, what motivates you?
Okay, what motivates me? Now that would be, but let me put it in brief. I have a vision for my life. When I was younger, I'm not that old. When I was younger, a few years ago, I was told to write down my vision, the vision of my life. I plan to live until 95. So I have a clear vision of what Harriet looks like at 95. And that's what pushes me on. So I am very clear about what I want to have, but by the end of this year, I'm very clear about what I want to see. And my vision is that I am going to be an international sought after public speaker and life coach that travels the world to help motivate, support, and encourage everyone that comes into my sphere of influence to become the very best that they can be. And I can say that even in my sleep. So that's what motivates me. Anything that is not in line with that moves aside. And I find Toastmasters helps me to achieve that. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you.
My takeaway from that is, you guys, we need to use Harriet while she's still available before she starts covering the globe, and her time is measured by the minute. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Harriet. Well, my take away from that is if you have room for a +1 on that journey, I'm not going to be like Brenda, who will make use of you when you're still here. I will tag along and we influence the world together. Thank you. Thank you very much. There is one last question to you. Yes, please.
What have you benefited from Toastmasters? Actually, there was a slide that I wanted to show, but it didn't come up. So I'm just going to read it off because I can see it on my side. I have improved my public speaking skills. And as I've said, I have become a sought after speaker. And I am making money from public speaking. I have told my children that one thing I know, I'll not fail to have money, because even if I'm in a wheelchair, the fact that I can speak, as long as I'm not down, I'll be able to make money because I've learned how to speak in different fora. My leadership skills have really grown. I was in a very easy comfort zone. Just for those who know me, I belong to a church and I was very involved in church ministry. And I wanted to be able to lead people outside of that comfort zone. So now I've learned how to lead people who are don't have my same values, don't have my same thinking, but I'm still able to lead them. I am part of about 5 to 6 different fora where I am in leadership. And the people in those different fora are very different, are very diverse. But it also helped me to practice writing speeches. And I was able to start 2 blogs and a website of my own. And on those blogs, I'm able to write about how I view life. I'm able to mentor people. I'm able to give out learning skills that can help others be able to grow. I've also gained a competitive advantage at my workplace.